Welcome back to the ladies' dressing room. Today I have such an exciting video to share with you. It has everything to do with laundry. Exciting, right? Well, it's very exciting to me, and I am going to share with you why I really love my laundry days. So, of course, I have children now that are able to do their own laundry, so my days are not really filled with doing all the laundry of the household anymore. Once upon a time, that is something that I did, and I really actually took joy in it. I tried to find the silver lining in it, and it was probably the idea that every time a load was completed, it felt like everyone had new clothes, and that's what really helped me to complete my loads. Now, I have not been perfect in this area, mind you, and sometimes I go through seasons where it can feel more overwhelming than other times. However, one of the things that I've never really wanted laundry to do is pile up to where I just had loads and loads of things to do. That is really depressing to me and something that I've always tried to steer clear of. So, I can't say that every single time that I've done laundry that I have seen it through to completion, but for the most part, I would say 90% of the time I do. So let's start with that. But laundry is an important part of the everyday, and I talk about this a lot in the Lady of the House method. And one of the things that I like to do is to designate a day for different loads of laundry, whether that be for the lady of the house, the man of the house, the children, or linens, towels, bedding, things like that. So everything has a day. So I still have days for laundry, especially because I take care of all of the rest of the laundry for the house, just not my children's laundry, because at an early age I tried to teach them how to do their own laundry, and that has been so helpful. Do they always see it through to completion? No. Do they need reminding? Yes, all the time. And that is part of the job of the lady of the house, is to ensure that things are running smoothly. But today, one of the things that I wanted to discuss was her laundry. So yours as the lady of the house, and the joy that you can get out of making sure that this is something that you take your time in doing and that it's separate from everything else. So I used to have all of these issues with laundry because I would try to do everything together. And sometimes there would be things left in pockets, and maybe I wasn't the best at checking all the pockets. And, you know, not only that, I found that my husband's jeans and zippers and just the rough stuff, right, that would damage a lot of my delicates. And especially when I started transitioning from wearing jeans myself and more like tees or you know, different shirts, never really t-shirts, but other kind of shirts, cotton shirts, for instance. Once I transitioned to wearing dresses or skirts and blouses, I really wanted to separate our clothing. And I just found this to be so helpful when doing laundry and ensuring that those items that I had would last longer and would, you know, not have any issues in the whole cycle of laundry. So this is what I like to do. I have a day that I usually will take care of mine. And sometimes I have more than one load because I will separate my colors. But if, say, every dress in there is polyester, I really don't mind washing those things together because they don't bleed onto each other. But for the other things like linen or cotton, I definitely want to keep the lights with the lights, whites, and colors, the other kind of colors together. And usually I will just, you know, group like colors together. And even if some things are polyester, if I have something that's not polyester and it's blue, I'll just try to put all the blue things together, for instance. But here is the main thing that I have found in really enjoying the process of doing laundry. Having a clean space to work. So at times I have allowed this space to become overrun with so many different things, whether we're working on projects or just things that I didn't want to deal with at the time. I can remember in this home, after the holidays, it just felt like nothing was getting done, that space was always a mess, and there was just this project looming over me that I needed to do, and I just did not feel the joy in doing my laundry like I once had. So having that clean space to work in is key, and it really feels like it's a luxurious experience when you're able to walk into a laundry room and it's clean and it's not overrun with laundry. So this is a big part of making sure to do a load of laundry every day if possible. Now I know that some need to use other laundry services. Maybe you don't have a washer machine at your home. That's understandable. So ignore what I'm saying at this point. But this is what I have found to be helpful. So I'm just speaking from my own experience here. So if there is a special way that you do your laundry, please let me know in the comments below. But when I am separating my laundry, I like to keep all of my underwear together, and then I use garment bags to separate these items. So underwear goes in one garment bag and bras go in another garment bag, and I don't take the time to snap the bra backs together or anything. I think that this would be something I would be more concerned about if I were to be mixing the laundry together, but I really haven't had an issue with it catching or snagging on anything, so it's really not something that I've concerned myself with recently. But just the garment bags alone makes all the difference, and I think it really does allow your garments to have a longer shelf life. So then I will also put slips in their own garment bag as well. So all of this kind of keeps them contained, obviously, and they're not snagging on one another or getting wrapped up, especially with some of these straps. I'm sure that you know sometimes straps can really wrap around dresses, for instance, and it can be a mess. And so I feel that this is a really wonderful way to ensure that these items are washed well, and I don't have to worry about putting it on a delicate cycle. I typically just go for the quick wash because I like that it just does not take as much time, or the speed wash, or what the speed cycle, whatever it is that is on my machine. But I like for it takes 30 minutes to run, and then I just hang dry all of my clothing. I can't remember the last time, unless it was a hoodie that I had been wearing for walking, or, you know, the pants that I would wear. That's when I would use the dryer, but for the most part I just hang dry all of my clothing. Now when it comes to linen dresses, I find that before they are completely dry, that's the best time to give them an iron or to steam them if you needed to, and then it really does help let out the wrinkles better. Or even with cotton too, this is something that you can do, but just where it's not completely dry and stiff, that's the best time to iron those items. So if I'm going to be packing the dresses away, maybe I'm going with a different color story at this point after my clothing is dried, I really don't bother with ironing anything. So this is the time after my laundry is done that I do like to take some time to just kind of, you know, think about what else I would like to go with for the next week when it comes to my color story, and prepare by ironing all of those pieces that I plan on wearing for the week to come. This allows me to have a week's worth of dresses that are so easy to choose from. I know that everything is cleaned and pressed if necessary, and it's such an enjoyable experience to me. Her laundry day, which is what I call it in the Lady of the House method, is the best to me. It's the one that brings me so much joy. It's like getting a whole new wardrobe each time, and I love when things are clean because it just feels like everything is fresh and new, and I just have a brand new start. So then, of course, the scent of the fabric softener as it dries in the room, this is wonderful too. So sometimes I will hang it on the rack that I have. Other times I will also just hang them within my own dressing room because it just makes the space smell so lovely. But it's important to know your own space as to where the best place to hang dry your clothing would be if this is something that you are going to do, because you also don't want it to be, you don't want the air to be too moist. You want it to be able to, air dry. You want it to have enough circulation of air. Maybe turn the fan on if that's possible. Sometimes open a window. This, allows a fresh breeze to come in, things along those lines. So that's just something to think about. But mainly, it's really about, for me, making sure that the whole experience is a lovely experience, one that I can enjoy, because I'm walking into a space that has been dealt with. And usually I will just take a little bit of time to sort out all of my clothing together. And then if there is a spot that needs to be treated, I will make sure to spray it then, because it kind of needs maybe 10 minutes. It depends on what kind of spot there is, but it might need about 10 minutes. I like to use Shout for myself to just kind of soak in and to do its magic. And then I will start that load. If there's anything else going in the washer, sometimes you get a pile of dishcloths or something that does need to be washed before the 1 week's time to be able to do it. That's fine. Like I said, you don't have to be such a stickler, but just having the different days of the week for different things, it kind of gets you on a routine of sorts, or a rhythm perhaps, that will make it to where it's something that you can count on. You have the purpose for that day when it comes to laundry, and you look forward to completing that, and you're not overwhelmed. That's the main thing to me, is not overwhelming myself with so much to do like one would do on one laundry day. However, if that's the way that it needs to be done in your household, it's completely possible. I've had just one laundry day a week at times, and there were years where that worked out just fine for me. But now I just enjoy doing it one day at a time, one load at a time, or whatever is necessary for that day. I've received the question about, do I use specific detergents or anything for delicate fabrics? I tried that before, but I really didn't find that it extended the life of my delicates at all. It just, I use Tide, sometimes Persil. It just depends on what's on sale, really. And I like to use the liquid personally. And then if I do need to soak anything because there's a really bad stain, I will use OxyClean in my sink and just, put a little bit in there and soak that for at least 24 hours. And there really hasn't been one stain that I haven't been able to get out, which is really nice. And then when it comes to fabric softener, I have been going with Downy, and I like the Cool Cotton has been my favorite. It's just such a nice light fragrance scent, and I do like fragrances within my within my laundry. I have tried essential oils in the past, but I never really cared for them, so I just stick to the tried and true and what works for my family, and also for my husband especially, because if there is a scent he doesn't like, if I try to change something up, and for instance he doesn't like it, he lets me know. It's one of those things where he's like, did you use something different in the laundry? You know, I don't like that smell. Please go back to what you were using, or, you know, things like that. So we have to keep everyone in mind. And also, you know, I have my own preferences of what I like. But thankfully, what we're using right now, this is something that we can all agree on. And it's been what has made laundry, another part of doing laundry, so enjoyable. Today's dress of the day comes from this brand right here. And I found this at TJ Maxx. I love the length of this dress and just the way that it flows so beautifully. It has pockets, and then it has that cinched waist. And I just felt that it fit perfectly. I don't feel like it's compressing on my chest the way some of the dresses do. I did not look at the type of fabric that it was. It might be a polyester mix, but I'm not sure, so I'll try to put that right here too. It has this very dainty floral print to it, and I liked how simple it was, but it was just elegant, and the flutter sleeves were beautiful, and just, it was so neat that it had those pockets. Whenever there's a dress with pockets, I'm very excited about that. I actually saw one of the dresses recently when I was in TJ Maxx. It had a little tag on it that said with pockets, or, you know, or just, I think it says it has pockets. And, you know, just one of those little things that so many of us enjoy and can appreciate. And I definitely appreciate it. Whenever I have a dress that doesn't have pockets, I'm like, why even bother? You know, no, I will. It just depends on what kind of dress it is, really, and the other factors of the dress. But this has wonderful coverage. I like the V-neck of it, and just that it's not, I don't feel like it's too low. I'm not uncomfortable in wearing it. And just the dainty floral print, much like this dressing gown that I'm wearing today. It has such a beautiful dainty floral print, and that is something that I appreciate as well, and something that doesn't, you know, is not so bold, I would say. That's more along the lines of what I try to stick with, are those soft and subtle prints. Today's dressing space comes from Lisa. She has written about this to me before when she was a pen pal, and she's actually the one that sent me this mirror that I have on my dressing table here. So she said, I purchased this 1920s era Art Deco vanity with attached mirror and matching chair with its original pink damask cushions while living in Charlotte a few years ago. It had been purchased at an estate sale in upstate New York. Imagine my delight when I opened the bottom left drawer and found 3 letters dated in autumn 1959. From a college freshman writing home to her parents while attending a teacher's college near the Canadian border. Through a bit of research, I was able to connect with the young college freshman and author of the letters, who is now approaching 90 years of age. About a year ago, we had a Zoom call to meet each other, and I was able to return the letters to her. She told me the story of how her mother would sit here every afternoon after a full day of cooking and cleaning in order to dress and greet her husband when he came home from his railroad job each afternoon. Nearly every day as I sit and get dressed, I think of her, which makes this space even more special to me. I positioned the vanity slightly away from the window on the left side, which provides the perfect amount of morning light as I'm getting dressed each day. Lisa, that is such a beautiful dressing table, and I really enjoy getting, you know, that visual of what that table looks like, because it really is special. And it's funny how those little stories like that really make an impact on our lives, especially that you were able to return those letters to her. I think that that's wonderful that you are positioning it just so. I feel like there have been so many pictures that I've seen of interior design where so many things are away from the windows or the walls, and While it does depend on your space and exactly how much space you have, it's always nice to know that that's an option and you don't have to just resort to pushing everything up against the walls. Thank you so much for sharing this with us today, Lisa. And if you have yet to share your dressing space, just know that you can still email me at inspiredbynikkiyt@gmail.com. I do have what I'm asking for in the description box of each of these videos so that you can make sure to, write whatever it is that you need to, and also the way that you would take the picture. That would be so helpful. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really hope that this video inspired you in some way and that you will choose beauty every day.